Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. In this update, we're going to check out Polygon's price chart, and specifically we are going to talk about the recent drop that we are having right now happening in the whole crypto space. And I'm going to tell you why this isn't necessarily what you think. And in fact, this might end up being a fantastic buy opportunity, and that's why I'm actually buying quite a lot of altcoins and also the King BTC as well. Now, before we get into all that, real quick, we are going to talk about this very important tweet from CoinBiro saying that Polygon became the leading settlement layer for payments, with payment related volume jumping about 400% year over year to roughly around $3.5 billion. And according to this tweet, this growth actually mainly came from payment card programs and enterprise integrations. Now, you might ask, well, okay, during these absolutely tough times, why does this actually matter and why should we even care about it? I would argue for a couple of reasons. Number one, you see, this kind of volume actually points to real usage. Payment settlement is very important to understand. That is actually quite a bit different from speculative trading because card settlements, merchant payouts, payroll, or maybe remittances, they tend to be recurring flows. And if those are moving on Polygon, well, okay, for us as Polygon investors, that is like a much stronger signal than just a one-time trading spike. Second important reason for why I think we should care about these things actually comes down to the technical perspective. You see, you should note that Polygon actually fits this use case very, very well because number one, it is fully EVM compatible. Number two, Polygon has high throughput. Number three, Polygon actually has very, 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 very low transaction fees compared to, for example, Ethereum mainnet. And for payments and back office settlement, predictability and also low cost actually matter quite a bit than just simple hype. And that, in my view, is going to make Polygon a practical choice for a stable coin based settlement. Third important reason for why I think this is so bullish for Polygon and why do I think we should care about this quite a bit. You see, there's actually the network effect angle in here, and you should know that payment applications need a stable coin liquidity, custody, and also developer tooling. And as more of that infrastructure is going to build on Polygon, okay, onboarding the next payments layer is going to at the same time become much easier, and the data suggests that this growth that we are right now seeing is driven by a few large payment applications, not just some random small users, which is exactly how enterprise payment volume usually starts. So overall, what's the takeaway from this? You see, in my view, this spike in payment settlement volume in Polygon is actually a very positive signal because it is suggesting that Polygon POS is right now being used for real value carrying payment flows and that enterprises are right now actively testing or maybe deploying on Polygon. That, in my view, is going to lead to more and more adoption in the future. And hey, what more do you want from a crypto project if you want to be fundamentally bullish on it? Polygon basically at the moment, in my opinion, checks every single box. And you might ask, well, okay, why is it that the prices right in here are getting absolutely hammered? First things first, you should know that this is not specific for Polygon. We are seeing overall red across the board. And in fact, I would argue relative to the previous low in Polygon, which is in here about 9.9 cents, the price right now is not necessarily going that much lower from here. And when you compare this to a lot of other altcoins, the story in those alts are actually quite a bit different, even with the ones that are having good fundamentals, like for example Avalanche. I think the previous major pivot low in Avalanche on daily time frame was somewhere around $11-12, and guess what, right now AVAX is around $8.3, which is nuts. But here's the deal, considering all this, I'm actually right here buying Polygon and also Bitcoin and a lot of other altcoins that I think fundamentally they have a very bright future ahead. Why is that? Because in my view, in Bitcoin, soon we are going to have a massive bounce, and I really have a hard time believing that, okay, if Bitcoin wants to go up, alt are not really going to follow it. In my view, we are going to see soon some good moves on the upside in altcoins. However, maybe not necessarily from the current point. Why is that? Because if you want to argue that we're going to have our final low around this area, maybe this is like a very important support level, then okay, Off of the lows, you have to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, followed by a slow and choppy move on the downside, and we call this whole choppy price action basically building the base phase. Now, here's the deal. Before hitting our final low in here, we are usually going to have a very strong move down, followed by consolidation, another move down, consolidation, and another move on the downside. So essentially, before we hit the absolute low, we are also going to have some more choppy price action, but just a little bit on the downside. And that's really the point, you see. Let's go on H1 time frame. What do you see in Polygon in here right now? We are just constantly going lower every single hour. So where is that choppy price action with a bit of downward momentum? Right now, we don't really have it yet. So for example, assuming that we want to hit the lows in Polygon, I'm expecting something like this. Maybe a bit more downward price action, consolidation up, and then another move on the downside. And then we can have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by a bit of a slow and choppy move down. Now, does Elliott's waves also support this thesis? The answer, I would argue, is yes. You see, we said that earlier. If you want to argue we're going to have the lows in here, then okay, not only you have to be able to find off of the lows a 5 wave up, but also in the last phase on the downside, you have to be able to find a 5 wave as well. And what is going on in here? Well, let's go on 15-minute time frame. Zoom in a bit more. Okay, I think we can all safely assume that this is a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down. Followed by that, you can consider many different possibilities in here, but you know what? Let's be a little bit generous. Let's argue that this is one, and then from this point to about here, we are having a correction for wave 2. I know it's a little bit generous, maybe even like too generous, but hey, bear with me, this is really important. Followed by that, this strong move down can be into wave 3, and sure, we are going to have a bit of a bounce, but that bounce is just going to be a correction for 4, followed by what? You know it, another move down into wave 5, and hey, guess what? Even according to this thing right in here may not necessarily be our final low. Why? Because at that point on a higher degree, this white 5 wave down that I drew in here is just going to be into this wave 3, and then we're going to have correction for 4, another move down into wave 5, providing that choppy consolidation pattern with a bit of downward momentum that we talked about earlier. So in Polygon overall, in my opinion, we are quite close to the end of our move on the downside, not only in Polygon, generally in the whole crypto space. And then we are going to witness some good moves on the upside. And that, my friends, is exactly why right around the lows, since I believe we are close to the end, I am buying a lot of altcoins and also BTC as well. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Polygon's price chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.